It has been a whirlwind of a week in Vegas. Big Ten Media Days are final day today. These are some of the teams that are in the spotlight, hearing from Iowa, Purdue, UCLA, Michigan State, USC, and Michigan as you take a look at the Big Ten power rankings. Keep in mind, Lincoln Riley is on the hot seat after coming off a disappointing 7-6 season. Michigan, can they go 5 years in a row against Ohio State, but get back to the national championship and do it with a true freshman quarterback? Also, those power rankings, do you even agree with them? Let's send it out to our crew at Big Ten Media Days, led by our very own Jenny Dell. Jenny, you are the star, but I'm also hearing that Chip Patterson may be the biggest celebrity in Las Vegas right now.
Chip Patterson actually is the biggest celebrity in Las Vegas right now. We went out two nights ago. Got to throw that out there. We also have Bryant McFadden, Brandon Marcello joining us as well. 2 nights ago out in Vegas, it's late night. We're having a good time. And who gets pulled to the side? Not only Chip Patterson, but Bud Elliott. We had some Cover 3 fans just hanging out at a bar in Vegas. They took pictures. You gave stickers out. It was.
We've done some guerrilla marketing. Some people receive stickers because they want them. Some people may or may not have stickers on the back of their shirt. No comment. No confirmation.
I gotta check making sure everyone
they don't say
knew.
Pick me, do they?
No. It says Cover 3. It's guerrilla marketing.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Love it.
It was quite the night. It's been so much fun out here in Vegas. Best part is just talking to all these coaches, all these players, just getting to know them on a deeper level. And we saw the graphic put up over there of Brandon Marcello's power rankings.
I did those?
Yeah. There are a few questions, and we have some answers here. So I'm going to start with number 1. We have Penn State number 1 over the defending national champs, Ohio State. I actually want you to take this away. And what went into that decision?
They're one of the most experienced rosters in the country. They've got Drew Aller coming back. They've got, I think, a trio of newcomers at receiver. Transfers come in that are just fantastic. And 2 of those 3 guys were team captains of their previous spot. They're explosive, and that's really what, in my opinion, Penn State's really been missing. The defense is going to be phenomenal once again. It'll be a top 10 unit, maybe a top 5 unit, because I see Jim Knowles, in my opinion, is the best defensive coordinator in the country. What he did at Oklahoma State was phenomenal. And remember, before he got to Ohio State was really struggling defensively, turned that thing around, and now he inherits a top 10 defense that's been there the last 4 years. Penn State is the team to beat, not just the Big Ten, dare I say the country.
Wow. What I like about this is that power rankings really are a starting point. Because when we think about Ohio State or Michigan, the programs who, have won the last 2 national championships, they've got questions. They've got questions all over the roster. And at Penn State, while you've got a turnover at defensive coordinator, I agree with you, Brandon. It is a plus value add with Jim Knowles. And we just continue to hear from these players that there is a reason why they continue to cycle through defensive coordinators, but the defense remains that top 10, top 5 level defense. And so I really think that for Penn State, yes, you should be starting at the number 1 spot because you don't have as many questions as an Ohio State, as a Michigan, as an Oregon. So I'm in agreement with you. I think that the Nittany Lions start out at number 1.
Lockstep for me as well when you talk about Penn State, the abundance of experience that you mentioned at the most important position, the quarterback position. You get Oregon at home early in the year. Then you go to Ohio State in November. I mean, you still would like Penn State in that scenario, understanding the talent that's returning. And you talked about Jim Knowles, addition by subtraction. Where did you get him from? Ohio State, right? So that's a plus as well. So I love, Brandon, that you have them number 1 in terms of the actual odds. There's a lot of value with Penn State being number 2 because we all believe they're the best team in the Big Ten before one game is played. So if you want to go out and earn some value in terms of betting, put something on Penn State right now.
Right now, James Franklin came out now going into his 12th season as a head coach. He said this is by far the most talented team that we've had, the best personnel that we've had, both players and staff. So that's quite the statement over there. You mentioned the talent that's coming back. It's going to be really fun. And CBS kicking it off week 1, Nevada at Penn State. So excited to get out there to Happy Valley. Okay, so everyone agrees with that one.
Right.
Congratulations. This next one, though, not so sure. Illinois over Oregon at the number 3 spot. Tell us what went into that.
Hey, if I'm looking at the start of the season, the power rankings themselves, Illinois has an incredible amount of production returning, the third most returning production in the country. And these teams that have been winning in the playoffs these last 2 years have been fantastic in the trenches. Illinois is loaded in the trenches, especially offensively. You've got a veteran quarterback in Luke Altmaier coming back. I like the running back situation. I love how they won so many close games in the fourth quarter last year. I think they were either 4-1 or 5-1 and one-score games in the fourth quarter. The big question, though, is they lose their top 2 receivers. But here's my counter to that. When the heck did we expect Brett Bielema to be throwing the ball a lot anyway? They're going to run the ball, running down their throats. And when it comes November time and it is cold out there, Illinois is going to push people around, and they're going to win some games.
I'll tell you what, Brett Bielema is excited about having all of his offensive linemen back and being able to do just that. Luke Altmaier is Mr. Clutch in college football. In his career, he has 5 career game-winning drives in the last minute or in overtime. Nobody else in college football right now has more. And I think the fact that to hear him say, it's about the confidence in myself, it's about belief, and he hadn't always had that in his career when he started out at Ole Miss, when he makes the transfer. This is a player who is coming into his own at the end of his career. I think he's only going to continue to be Mr. Clutch. And so look, Illinois is a safe stock because you know what Oregon is? Volatile. You could tell me that the Oregon Ducks are 11-1. You could tell me that the Oregon Ducks are 8-4. And I think that if, again, we're talking power rankings, putting Illinois there, I don't have big qualms with that.
One last thing on Oregon. I mean, the thing with Oregon to me is that they just don't quite know what they're going to get at quarterback. We're so used to seeing a Dan Lanning team go out there with a, dare I say, a 19th or 20th year senior, right? With Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. I mean, come on. But here's the thing to me. Oregon is going to have some growing pains, not just at the quarterback spot, but they replaced multiple running backs as well. Offensively, I think it's going to take them some time to get going. Illinois, I think, is going to come out on fire out of the gate.
Brand, I see why you have Illinois ahead, but then my argument would be with Oregon. When you look at the head coach in comparison, who are you taking, Dan Lanning or Brett Bielema? Who do you trust more?
Well,
Right?
Brett Bielema led quite a few fourth-quarter comebacks.
I didn't ask about
who are we taking like for drinks out in Vegas? Because then I'm going Brett.
I'm saying, like, if there was a Game 7 scenario, you got to win a ball game. Who do you trust more? And then also with the quarterback situation at Oregon, yes, the quarterback play is very, very important, but you know who's more important? The individual who's coaching him. Will Stein has been phenomenal.
Oh, agree.
The last 2 years, they've had new quarterbacks. Bo Nix, remember, it used to be Bad Bo when he was at at Auburn. When he got to Oregon, we saw a different Bo Nix that led to an opportunity to be in a first-round selection. Yes, Dylan Gabriel was already a made man in college football. But when he got there in Oregon, what Will Stein did with him fine-tuning his skills made him a better quarterback, in my opinion, and they won ball games. Last time I checked, Will is still there, coaching quarterbacks. He's still calling plays. So, yes, we don't know exactly what we're going to see from Dante potentially being the starting quarterback. But one thing we do know, he's talented.
Yep.
Right? He has a high skill set. And if Will Stein continue to work his magic like he's done with the previous 2 quarterbacks.
You're already naming a starter over there, a QB?
I said potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not an insider.
I know.
But if we were betting, like if we were placing bets,
We would say
Dante Moore.
Yes.
Oh, it's Dante Moore by far. From everything I hear there, it's Dante Moore.
So I'm just making an argument. I understand the logic, but you can never turn your back on Dan Lanning. And yes, they got to replace a lot of key contributors on offensive line. But the mindset that they've built there is almost like an SEC mindset in terms of the bully ball. They play in the trenches, and that's why we saw them dominate in year 1 in the Big Ten.
It's interesting you speak of the mindset because Brett Bielema came out yesterday, and one of the things that just stuck with me is just the way that this team plays. He said, I want to make sure that they're playing with a chip on their left and right shoulder. So I think they all have that.
Those
that
are shoulder pads.
Exactly. Okay. Next conversation I want to have is just like the confidence that we have in some of these teams. There's a lot of questions coming into this season for a lot of these programs, but Michigan or USC, who do you have more confidence coming into the 2025 season?
It's a difficult question. Maybe Michigan, and I'm going to simplify it for you here, and the only reason why I say this is because Michigan is not going to have to go across the country so much like USC. I know that's an oversimplification in a lot of ways, but that's my big concern there. But man, do I love what USC's been able to build over the last year, not just in recruiting, but in the portal. I love the pieces they've been able to add. And Jaden Maiava, and to me, the way he ended the season as the starter gives me a lot of hope for what USC can do this year. But I look at that schedule, the road games, 3 to 4 game stretches there. It makes me concerned. And I think Michigan, because of the high upside under Bryce Underwood, should he be the starter at quarterback? And yes, he will be. Michigan, for me, gets a slight edge over USC.
This is such a fun area to debate in the Big Ten going into 2025 because Michigan, a USC, a Washington, a Nebraska. I mean, these are all teams that, are going to be separated not just by 1 or 2 games, but by 1 or 2 close games, by who's going to be able to make the plays or avoid the mistakes. And that's when I think about Jaden Maiava, because Jaden Maiava made a lot of plays last year. But, buddy, he made a lot of mistakes, too. USC played great ball against college football playoff teams. They went toe-to-toe with Penn State. They went toe-to-toe with Notre Dame. Obviously, final score was double digits, but 2 pick sixes contributed to that, which is Jaden Maiava's fault. I'm very curious to see if another full year with Lincoln Riley, can he tighten the screws on that thing just a little bit? Because USC could have a lot of upside that isn't necessarily realized yet since they arrived in the conference.
I'd be remiss if I don't highlight the disrespect that's going on right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, the disrespect. And it's a question. Why is it that you have Michigan and USC, 2-story organizations, no question, prestige, tradition is there, over Indiana? Ooh. What am I missing in terms of Indiana being behind Michigan and USC? In my opinion, I understand there's a turnover at the quarterback position, but they're inheriting a guy with experience in Frank Mendoza.
And a fantastic completion percentage of 70%.
Facts. And you talk about getting a high-level running back, in my opinion, in Roman from Maryland. Yeah. He's going to improve. Don't forget, we highlighted their offense a year ago because they were phenomenal, right? They had an outstanding offense, but their defense was outstanding in the trenches as well in terms of rush defense. I don't see that changing anytime soon also. And the final piece for me, when you look at the head coach, Curt Cignetti, he's like the Mike Tomlin of college football. All he does is win. Yeah. Every stop. He's been coaching as a head coach 14 years. Never endured a losing season. So he won double-digit games a year ago. I think he did more with less. Even though there's some turnover, he's still a heck of a coach. You have the Hoosiers, football Hoosiers, behind USC and Michigan. Please explain that.
Now, these are my power rankings going into the season. Depth-wise, I've got Indiana behind them because of that, the depth piece, right? But I've also said this. I think the Big Ten is going to get 3 teams in the playoff this year, not 4. And that third team is going to be a wild card. And that third team, to me, is either going to be Illinois or Indiana. Because, once again, Indiana's schedule is set up for them to make a run this year. And Curt Cignetti plays Moneyball in a lot of ways in the transfer portal. He doesn't look for where you went. He looks for production. You get a guy like Mendoza, 70% completion percentage. Very similar to what he got in Curtis Schwark when he came there. I think that Indiana also is going to be salty once again defensively. They got All-Americans returning on every level of the defense. That is huge. You don't see that. You see that rarely in college football. You never seen that at Indiana. So I'm with you there. But going into the season, depth-wise, when I say power rankings and I put these teams on the stage on week 1, I'd give the other teams, Michigan, USC, the slight edge.
So real quick, since you said that, this is how you assemble your power rankings, right? Head coach, right? And I love to do this.
Yeah.
This is barbershop talk for me. Of course, we have Jenny, so it's a salon
No, take
talk,
it away, please.
Right? Head coach. If you had to rank the head coach between Indiana, USC, and Michigan today, who are you ranking? I want to hear.
Curt Cignetti, Lincoln Riley, Sharon Moore.
So Curt is 1. So 1 to Indiana. If you had to rank the quarterbacks today between USC and Michigan and Indiana, who are you ranking? In what order?
Yeah, you've really set me up.
I was going to say,
Mendoza, Underwood, then Maiava.
Okay, another nod to Indiana. Last question, defensively. If you had to rank the 3 defenses in order today, between Indiana, Michigan, and USC, what's the ranking?
Michigan, Indiana, USC.
Okay, 1 to Michigan. The other 2 in favor of Indiana.
would you like to change your power rankings?
No. I like the depth. I like the depth of Michigan and USC over Indiana at this point, and that's why I'm sticking with it.
Well,
but again, wild card playoff teams, That third spot, I think, is going to come down to Illinois and Indiana because of the way their schedule's set up.
Okay, but I'm just looking
It's
at
a starting grid, B-Mac. This is where you're going to start the race. And if you think you got that good engine, then you're going to get up to
that engine at 7 is good.
Yeah. That engine at 7 is good. Let's take a look over here, 11 through 18 here in Wisconsin. I want to point out at number 13, they had their first losing season since 2001, 5-7 last year. Guys, real quick, just what you think Luke Fickell needs to get done this season, just quick expectations for Wisconsin.
They got to win. And it's safe to say in 2 years, because this will be his third year there at Wisconsin, the first 2 years haven't been ideal. I think this is not a do or die year, but the pressure's starting to mount up if they have another losing season. And most importantly, creating some type of identity. We haven't seen that yet. Get back to being Wisconsin football, dominated in the trenches, running the football, and playing physical football on the defensive side. We have to see that right now.
That's been my biggest issue with Wisconsin is they just don't have an identity. And I think, as you said, they're going to get back to that this year offensively. They're going to get away from this air raid stuff they've been trying to do. They're going to try and run that ball.
So when we look at the addition of Jeff Grimes as the new offensive coordinator, the best Jeff Grimes offenses have always started at the line of scrimmage with getting the run game going and building off of that. Billy Edwards comes in as the new quarterback. I think there's a great opportunity for them to be better. But this is one of the toughest schedules in the entire country.
Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon.
Like the team could be better. Yeah. And the win-loss record is not how we should judge the Wisconsin Badgers. We just need to know it with our eyes when we watch them on Saturdays that they have an identity and they are playing better, because they might only be a 6-6 team, but we can see strides forward for Luke Fickell.
I understand the schedule. The schedule is the schedule, right? But if he happens to have a losing season once again,
that's troubling.
Is that seat hot?
Hot seat?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Will it be hot this season if he gets up to a horrible start?
If he has a horrible start, we'll be talking about him being in that top 4, top 5 hot seat talk.
Fellas, this has been an absolute blast. We're going to have so much more coming at you from day 3 of Media Days. We got Iowa, Purdue, UCLA, Michigan State, USC, and Michigan all coming through our rooms today. So much more to come here from Las Vegas. Amanda, take it away.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Great discussion there. Going over power rankings, how things may shape up in the Big Ten.